Hello, I'm going to wait a little while before starting my talk so people can join in just a few minutes or two to see if more people are going to join in, because not everyone can get here right at the very start at 4 o'clock. But those who are watching now, I hope you can see this clearly, and thanks for coming along. If you want to make comments, then I will reply to them right at the end and answer questions right at the end. I can see there's a few people joining, a couple of people joining in at the moment, but we'll just give it a tiny bit longer to give a few people time to join in. Yep, there's another person's joined. So hello Jane. Hello to everyone else who's joining. Yep, there's a few more people joining in. That's great. Thank you very much. Lovely to see people. Hello, Joe. Okay, right. Well, I'm gonna start now. I'm gonna start with a bit of an introduction. Thanks for coming to watch me give this Facebook Live talk on Magic for the Month. I'll introduce myself for those who don't know me. I'm Lucia Starzer. I write a Bad Witches blog. I've also written a few Pagan Portals titles for Moon Books, and I'll just show you the covers of them briefly. There you go. I'll talk a bit more about them later. Now, this is live, but it will be recorded, so if you miss any of it or you want to rewatch it, then it will be available to watch both on Facebook, and I will put it up on my YouTube channel as well. That's Lucia Starzer. It should take about half an hour. I will be reading from some notes that I've put on my Kindle so that I don't forget anything that I intend to say. Right, okay, yeah, I see we've got John. Hello, John. Hello, Luna. So there's a few more people joining, but I will be answering questions later on. But it's lovely to see people coming to watch. Now, Magic for the Month is a series of Facebook Live talks that I started back in January. Well, obviously it's February now, so this is the second in the series. Now, February is a short month, but one in which a lot takes place. And here in southern England, where I live, we see changes in nature that really start to speed up. In my garden in January, it pretty much stays the same all month. It's pretty bare and brown with, some evergreens and a few things, but you don't see a lot of change. And at the start of February, that's kind of like it is. But as February picks up, you really start to see changes happening. Now, there's snowdrops blooming in my garden already, as they should at the start of February. I don't bring them indoors. It's actually considered bad luck to bring snowdrops indoors, but I love seeing them outdoors. I think they are one of my favourite flowers of spring. I say that, I love every flower of spring really, but when you first see the snowdrops, it's like spring is around the corner. There's also a few other spring bulbs starting to come up, and by the end of the month there'll be spring flowers everywhere. So, it's really a sign that life is starting to come back to the world. Now, one of the things that I particularly love about February is watching the sunsets and the twilight time creeping later and later. And the sunsets and the sky just afterwards can be really beautiful in February, with the bare trees silhouetted against pink and purple. If you follow my blog, you might see I posted a picture that I took out of my upstairs window earlier this week. It's really one of my favourite sights, and it just makes me feel full of hope of the spring to come. Now, in traditional folklore, it's also a sign of possibly a good day of weather the next day. And actually, the day after that sky I photographed was a nice day. So, there is sometimes some truth in weather lore. But it's also a good time of day to do magic, that twilight time, a kind of liminal time when changes in the air, and at a time of year when changes in the air. So February is a really good time to do magic, and I think the twilight hour is a really good time to do magic as well. You can really tap into that symbolism with all the spells you do. Now, there's also quite a lot of things that people party about in February. At the start of the month, there's both Imbolc and Candlemas, which I like to think of festivals as the first stirrings of spring. Then there's Chinese New Year, which this year is on February the 12th. Then, of course, there's Valentine's Day on February the 14th. Then Pancake Day, or Shrove Tuesday, on February the 16th this year. That's followed by the start of Lent. Then at the end of the month, on the 27th, we have February's full moon. And of course, the full moon is always a witchy time for making magic. Now, I know that I've mentioned both pagan and Christian and secular things, but I'm the kind of witch who is happy to take part in seasonal celebrations with anyone who's happy for me to join in with them. And let's face it, you don't have to be religious to enjoy any of those festivals that I've mentioned. I'm going to talk about each of those festivals, but also about the energy of the times and the month of February in general. As a pagan, I think it can be easy to focus strongly on the 8 Wheel of the Year festivals. That's Imbolc, Spring Equinox, Beltane, Summer Solstice, Lammas, Autumn Equinox, Samhain, and Winter Solstice. And when we're first learning about paganism, we might read books that describe those festivals and when they take place, what flowers or fruits are traditionally in season, what deities to honour at that time of year, what traditional crafts to do, but then kind of leave it at that. Now, I think the Wheel of the Year festivals are really useful. If you want to get together with other witches, then it's great to have a set date that you all think, well, on that certain date, I'm likely to be getting together with my witchy friends and doing a ritual. But really, every single day has its own magical energy, and the Wheel of the Year turns smoothly around. It doesn't just click around over 8 bumpy cogs. And that's why I'm giving the title of these talks Magic for the Month rather than Magic for the Sabbats. Sabbat is a word that Wiccans use for the Wheel of the Year festivals. When I was thinking about what I wanted to talk about this month, I looked back at my blog posts for February's in bygone years and also some of my social media posts in February's in the past. And it gave me a flavour of how the magic for many Februaries has inspired me. Now I'll start talking about Imbolc. Now, in my memories of Imbolc celebration that I saw 6 years ago, I'd written on Facebook, just got back from a druid ritual at Hillyfield Stone Circle, has hot water bottle to thaw the icicles that are my legs. Hillyfields in southeast London has a lovely modern stone circle, and I'd been at a really beautiful druid rite with a group of friends in a druidic seed group, but it was really cold up there. I've always loved taking part in outdoor Wheel of the Year celebrations, but Imbolc is usually the coldest. It's colder than Winter Solstice. Winter Solstice rituals can be quite cold, but for some reason Imbolc can be just freezing. And the first time I did an Imbolc ritual and found out how cold it was, it really took me by surprise. We're supposed to be seeing the first signs of spring, and they are there. The early flowers, daylight hours getting longer, birds starting to search for suitable nesting sites. But the start of February can be as cold as January. But nevertheless, as a pagan, I do think it's good to get outdoors, even if you only do it briefly. Or to just open the window and look outside. Last weekend I took part in the Big Garden Bird Watch, and just just from my window, and just opening the window and spending an hour looking outside at what was going on in my garden was, well, I say a breath of fresh air. It was a breath of fresh air, but it really did help me to look at nature and what's going on there. And in fact, if all you do every month is spend some time looking outside and noticing what's bare and what's blooming, that is a valid observation of the wheel of the year and how it turns. Now, obviously, if you live in the countryside or you're engaged in agriculture, you'd probably be very much aware of that. I'm an urban pagan. I live in London, and I do sometimes have to remind myself what's going on in nature, and look at the trees and wildlife in the city. And there are, I mean, London is one of the greenest cities, so I am very lucky there. But I still have to kind of remind myself sometimes to look at the trees rather than just look at the man-made bits. Now, of course, Imbolc can be a time to kind of romantically look back to life in the past when most people were involved with agriculture, especially the lambing season at this time of year. But as a 21st century urban pagan, I like to recognise that what's relevant in my modern life, and that is not helping ewes give birth to lambs, but I can start working on new projects to help new projects see the light of day. And personally, I find that this time of year is really good for creative things, for getting creative, for writing. Obviously, writing is one of the creative things that I do, and I often find I get a lot of writing done at this time of year. It's also good for crafting and doing anything artistic. Now, obviously, those are things that can be done indoors and you can do them on your own. So that's really good. Great for those who are unable to get out and about or don't like getting frozen up on a hilltop for too long, or for when you're just stuck indoors. Moving on a little bit, many pagans honour the goddess Bridget or Bridie at Imbolc. She is associated with smithcraft and poetry, among other things. And I see that as being creativity in general. She's also often associated with fire in the sense of light returning to the land, and water, including like sacred wells and springs. There might be a Bridie's well near you. There's certainly reported to have been one at St Bride's Church in London, although you can't visit it anymore. Imbolc rituals can involve lighting a candle to Bridget and asking for inspiration. You don't have to be tied to doing that on just February the 1st or 2nd. You can do that any time this month, in my opinion. You could do it now, you could do it this weekend, or you could do it at the end of the month at the full moon. In my book, Pagan Portals Candle Magic, there's a spell for springtime wishes that uses a floating candle to incorporate that symbolism. I did write it for an Imbolc ritual and it is perfect to cast in early spring, although you can do it at any time of year. It's intended to help your wishes and dreams come true, and you can work the magic alone or with a partner, with a group of friends, or as part of a springtime ritual. And I'm going to demonstrate that now. Now, what you need is a floating candle for each person present. It's just me here at the moment, so there's one of them. And a suitable bowl with some water in it. This actually is a little bowl that's designed for a floating candle, but if you've got a cauldron, that's perfect. And obviously some matches. Now, what you do is you think about what you want to wish for, what you want to bring into your life. And you carve that onto your candle. You can use the end of a match to carve it onto the bottom of your candle. Or you can use a pin, or if you've got a special knife that you use for magical crafting, you can use that. I have carved mine already. I'm not going to tell you what I wish for, because when you do a wish, generally speaking, it's good to keep it secret. There's an idea that if you share the wish with everyone, you're kind of dissipating the magic a bit. So yeah, I'm not going to tell you what I wish for, but you can do this yourself and you can do your own wish. Now, what you do is, I'm not sure how well you're going to be able to see all of this, but you float your candle in the water. I'm going to have to put it down. You light your match. And light your candle. And when your candle's lit, if there's a group of you, all of your candles are lit and floating in the cauldron of the bowl. And then you say 3 times, fire and water, kindle and flow, give life to our dreams and let them grow. Fire and water, kindle and flow, give life to our dreams and let them grow. Fire and water, kindle and flow, give life to our dreams and let them grow. Then, put it down. And yeah, you can watch it burn down. Though what I always say is it can be a little bit boring just to sit there watching a candle burn down. You don't have to stare at it all the time. You can just put it next to you, and then you can enjoy the rest of the evening. You have a nice glass of wine or something, have some cakes and wine, and celebrate. Now, moving on through February, we have Chinese New Year, which this year, 2021, is on February the 12th. Now, normally in London, there's a huge free public festival around Chinatown and Trafalgar Square. Obviously, that's not happening this year, but normally it's a great chance to shake off the cobwebs, get out and about in town, and enjoy London's multicultural heritage. Chinese New Year is based on a lunar solar calendar, and it falls on the new moon in late January or in February. Now, it is a secular rather than a religious celebration, but as well as festivities, there are traditions relating to Chinese New Year and getting rid of bad energy from the previous year and doing things to invite luck in the new one. Now, it's traditional to clean the home before New Year, and at New Year itself, be extra pleasant to people. Don't do anything that might invite death. So it's considered quite unlucky if you tell ghost stories at Chinese New Year. Don't do that. Wearing red, I've got some red here, is considered very lucky. A lot of Chinese New Year's decorations will be in red, and families give each other gifts of money in red envelopes. And then just 2 days after Chinese New Year is Valentine's Day on the 14th, and that's on a Sunday this year. Now, many pagans like to point out that one possible antecedent for Valentine's Day was the ancient Roman festival of Lupercalia, and that was a fertility festival in which getting lightly whipped with strips of leather was considered all part of the fertile fun. I'm not going to go any further into that, but I am going to talk about love being an important part of February's magic nowadays. I don't see that as being all about romantic love for another person, although it can be. It can be about doing magic to love ourselves a little bit more. I'm not one of those people who believes that no one can attract love unless they love themselves. I actually think that's rubbish. Plenty of people who suffer from low self-esteem are seen as amazing and wonderful by their partners and friends. But if you do suffer from low self-esteem or a bit of low self-confidence, then doing things to pamper yourself or boost your self-confidence can be really helpful. This is a great time of year to do that. Particularly a year when many single people are stuck on their own. You could buy yourself a gift. This new t-shirt that says Bad Witch was actually a little gift that I got for myself. You can get food that you really like to eat. You can get treats that you really enjoy. You could get bath time luxuries. So you can really do things to pamper yourself and give yourself gifts to help make yourself feel more loved. Now I'm going to read a little self-love magic offered as the Valentine's Day entry by Irisania from the community book Everyday Magic. This is Everyday Magic. It's got, I edited it, but it's got entries from 50 different pagans from various traditions with things to do every day of the year. And here's the one for Valentine's Day. Self-love magic. While it might be Valentine's Day, remember that love transcends time and tradition. No matter if you're in a relationship or not right now, spend a few minutes with yourself. The first person who needs your love is you. Hold or stand by a mirror. Close your eyes, take a deep breath, and then open your eyes. Look at yourself deeply. Say aloud, I love you. Repeat that until you feel the love well in your heart. Now, I like to offer a guided visualization each month. And in a bit, I'm going to read one called The Seeds of Love from my book, Pagan Portals Guided Visualisations. But first I'll explain a bit more about what guided visualizations are. And I expect most of you know, but I'll explain it anyway in case there's anyone watching who is a bit unsure about it. Now, guided visualizations are journeys we make in our minds using a script created to help us experience a story that we're part of. They're intended to help us know ourselves better, as well as attune ourselves to the cycles of nature. And this particular guided visualization has themes about love and to some extent about loss. So it might be one you want to do, it might not be one you want to do. If you want to do it, make sure you're in a safe and comfortable place where you won't be disturbed. If you aren't in a suitable place or don't feel that it'd be quite right for you to actually visualize right now, then you can just listen to it as a story, and then later, if you want to do it as a proper guided visualization, you can watch this video again. Obviously, don't do a guided visualization if you're driving a car or stirring a pot over the stove or something like that. That wouldn't be very safe. Ideally, guided visualizations are best done with the eyes closed. So what I'm going to do first of all is ask you to take a few deep breaths, relax and close your eyes. At points in the narrative, I'll pause to enable you to continue the story to yourself in your own way. And that might be to visualize it in your mind's eye, but some people work better just imagining words rather than images. And that's fine, do whatever works for you. So I'm going to read from the book. The Seeds of Love. Love sometimes seems one of the most elusive things, and the loss of a loved one can be hard. But being in love is also the most wonderful feeling in the world. Here's a guided visualization about love and the cycles of nature. Sit comfortably, close your eyes, relax. Take 3 deep breaths, in and out, in and out, in and out. Visualize the following. Let your mind turn to a time that you felt love. Recall your strongest feelings of love. It could be feelings for someone you currently love, someone from your past. It doesn't matter, so long as you can recall that feeling. Feel that love in your heart and let the feeling grow, filling your being with warmth and joy. Without opening your eyes, cup your hands in front of you and visualize a tiny seed in your cupped hands. You have never seen a seed quite like it before. Visualize your love flowing through your arms, from your heart, into that seed, infusing it with warmth and joy. It is a seed of love. Visualize in front of you a flower pot full of rich, soft, dark earth. Then visualize yourself planting the seed into the pot. Place the pot somewhere where the sun will shine on it and the rain will water it. As you watch, you see the seed sprouting, a small shoot growing upwards through the soil into the light. And you know that roots are growing down through the soil to nourish and secure it. Watch it grow. A tiny fold of green leaves breaks through the soil and stretches upwards into the light, and a network of roots grow below it in the dark soil. As you watch, a bud forms, a green sepal protecting the petals within. It is unique and beautiful. Watch as the bud opens, slowly, revealing tiny petals. The petals expand and open and become the most beautiful flower. It is a unique flower. You have never seen one exactly like it before. Examine the flower, its outer petals and inner stamen and pistil, the parts of the plant that let it reproduce. As you watch, a bud opens. Oh. As you watch, a bee lands on the flower. and enters the inner folds of the petal, brushing against the stamen in its search for the sweet nectar within, then re-emerging, flecked with pollen, and flying off on its busy way. Look again at the flower. See how perfect it is. But as you watch, the petals start to fade and wither. One by one, they fall to the ground, and in their place grows a tiny fruit. The fruit is different from the petals. You watch as the fruit grows and ripens. It is unique, perfect, and beautiful too. Then, slowly, the fruit softens, darkens, and wrinkles. Then it too falls from the plant and lands on the soil. It splits open, revealing inside seeds, many, many seeds, seeds just like the one you held in your cupped hand and filled with love. You collect the seeds and hold them in your cupped hands. Look at how many more there are than the one seed you started with. They are all precious seeds of love that you can plant to grow, blossom, and flower, to bring joy to the world. Now, when you're ready to come out of the guided visualization, take a few more breaths in and out. Wiggle your hands, wiggle your fingers and toes, and return to normal consciousness. Open your eyes, but know that with this visualization, you can help plant seeds of love in the real world. Now, I hope that was good for you. Now, I will, if anyone has any comments, I will chat later at the end of this talk. I can answer questions, but I hope that was all right for you. I hope you were okay with that. Now, while we're on the subject of love and romance, I want to mention a little thing that was on the photo I took for my Magic of the Month picture, which I posted on Facebook. I posted two pictures that went with this talk. One was some snowdrops and one was a diary with some rose petals and various love tokens on it. And if you didn't see the photograph, I'm going to pick up my Kindle and hope that I can show you the picture there. I don't know if you can see that. Now, in the corner, you might have seen a miniature Welsh love spoon, and here is that love spoon again, a very, very tiny one. Actually, the Welsh equivalent of Valentine's Day was back at the end of January on the 25th, and it's called Dydd Santa Dwynwen, or St Dwynwen's Day. I do apologise if I mispronounced that. I did get some lessons and I practiced, but I probably got it all wrong. Now, I know I'm stretching February folklore back a little bit into last month, so I do apologise for that. But it fits in with the theme of both love and crafting, which I've been talking about. Love spoons are carved wooden spoons traditionally given as tokens of love on that day, or although they're more usually given as a proposal of marriage rather than just a token of affection. And they're also given as wedding gifts, and that little one that I've got was a wedding favour that I was given at my niece's wedding a couple of years ago in recognition of her own Welsh family connections. And one of the reasons I mentioned it and put the wooden spoon in my photo is that the energy of this time of year is conducive to all kinds of creative projects, including crafting. And you might want to try out something you've never tried before. You might want to try carving a love token for someone. Personally, I've often said that when I'm following my heart in a creative project, the joyful feeling that I get from it is really like being in love. Um, when I'm writing and the creativity's coming and I'm really getting inspiration, it's like it does really feel to me the same kind of joy as being in love. It could be not how everyone feels, um, but if you're following your passion, I think that's good. If you've always wanted to try out a new craft, then this is a really good time of year to do it. It doesn't matter if your first efforts don't turn out perfect. Just enjoy the process and learn as you go. Moving on, later in the month, Tuesday the 16th is Shrove Tuesday, or Pancake Day, which is another chance for a celebration. Yes, I know it's part of the Christian calendar at the start of Lent, but there are some suggestions that it might have some pre-Christian origins. In any case, I'm not really the kind of witch who only does things if they're pagan and ancient, and I do love pancakes. The idea behind Pancake Day was to use up fat and sweet things before the start of Lent, which was traditionally a time for abstinence. And I mentioned back in my talk on Magic for the Month in January that the start of the year is good for planning and making resolutions, but February is a better month to start getting active with those things. If you are resolved to give something up, whether that's for health or ethical reasons, then Lent is a traditional time to do that, particularly for giving up meat or fatty things, certainly in tradition. Now, I do know that that's a Catholic tradition. It could be that my own feelings are because my father was a Catholic, and so I was always encouraged to give up sweets for Lent when I was a kid. If you don't feel inclined to observe Lent, then that's absolutely up for you. Do what's right for you. Now, moving on to the full moon. February's full moon is often called the snow moon, and that name actually comes from North America, where winters generally last a bit longer than they do in southern England. Um, we can still have snow in February here, but we can also have a lot of warmer days too. And this year the full moon is on the 27th, so really late in the month, and I hope the worst of the cold weather is over by then. Full moons are always a good time to do any magic. So if you want to do any of the spells that I've mentioned in this talk about magic for the month of February, you can do them at the full moon if you didn't do them earlier. Now, I really hope that you found this talk interesting and perhaps useful. And after you've done any magical work or a guided visualization, you should always ground to make sure that you come back to reality properly. And I always say the best way to do that is to have something to eat and drink. But if that's not possible, you can stamp your feet on the ground or grip something firm just to feel yourself fully back to reality. Now, if you're watching this live and have any questions, you can leave a comment. I'm going to try and see if there have been any comments. So I'm going to try and answer questions as best I can. Let's see whether there have been any comments. Okay. Hello. Oh, thanks for saying you love the t-shirt. Oh, Luna, I hope you're enjoying Everyday Magic. Mohammed, hello. Oh, wonderful. Bridget's Cross. Yeah, and they're fun to make. I have made them in previous years. I must admit, I've not made a new one this year. I've still got my old one hanging up. But yeah, they're great. Oh, Luna, thank you. Thank you for saying you like my book. Oh, hi, Becky. No problem about being late because you can catch up later. Hello, Jane. Oh, we've got two Jane Winter and Jane Mortimer. My dad gave my mum some love spoons and they lived on the walls in their house in Wales. Oh, that's lovely. Oh, Becky's thinking of doing some carving. Using up the fat and sweets in the house would take all of February. Yeah, I've still got a box of chocolates left over from Christmas and I keep thinking, I'm going to open it? No. I will not be using them up all before Shrove Tuesday. Oh, Karen, thank you for saying you enjoyed the talk and that you like my book. Okay, so does anyone have any more questions? It's very lovely to see a lot of people here. I can see there's still more people joining in, and as I said, it's absolutely fine if you've joined in late, because it will stay here on Facebook, and I will put it on my YouTube channel. So I will talk a little bit more about a few other things. Right, well, my notes have died now, but that doesn't really matter, because all I really normally say at the end of these talks is that I will be giving another talk next month in March on magic for the month of March. If you want to visit my blog, it's at www.badwitch.co.uk. You can find my YouTube channel, Lucia Starza, LucyAStarza. So yeah, you can find me. Oh, Jane is saying, good time for crafting, keep on knitting the socks. And Millie is starting on some projects. Yeah, that's really great. That's really great to see everyone doing some crafting. Yeah, no, yeah, I'm gonna plug my books. Yeah, the big plug. This is Pagan Portals, Poppets and Magical Dolls, and actually next month there's quite a lot of doll folklore in March, so I'll be talking a little bit about doll folklore in March. There's actually a bit of doll folklore starting in February. Lent dolls start in February, and they're kind of a Spanish tradition, that a bit like advent calendars, but they make a doll with feathers attached to it, and then every day through Lent they pull out a feather. Oh, Luna, February is a good time to reconnect. Yeah, I disconnected due to lockdown. I think everybody is a bit crazy with lockdown. I know I am so looking forward to getting out again when we can. Oh, Jane, I'm so sorry you had a spam call in the middle of the visualization. Oh, and Luna, thank you for saying the book is fab. Okay, now this is Pagan Portals Guided Visualizations, and the visualization I gave earlier is in that. There's also a lot of others. Hello, Joe. Yeah, see you next month. Great. Everyday Magic, which is a thing to do every day of the year, and Pagan Portals Candle Magic, which is my first book, and that's always the one that sells best. It's probably the one I am most proud of. So yeah, I'm giving that a big plug. Anyway, thanks you very, very much for listening, and I hope to see you all next month. And bye bye.